Liu Ruyan has bipolar disorder, and yet she's supposed to marry me, a timid, cowardly nobody. That day, Liu Ruyan went on a rampage, smashing every single thing in the house. She screamed at her father, "You old fossil, who gave you the right to decide my life? His courage is smaller than a mouse's. So, what if he's good looking? You want me to marry him over my dead body?" She spun around and caught sight of me trembling at the staircase. Her breathing hitched. Suddenly, her face flushed red, and in a soft, almost sweet voice, she backtracked. "Dear Daddy, maybe this marriage isn't such a bad idea after all. How about we set the date for next month? No, next week. Scratch that tomorrow." When I arrived, the living room was already a wreck. Priceless antiques from auctions. Liu Ruyan had tossed them to the floor like toys, leaving shards scattered everywhere. I stood at the doorway, clutching my suitcase, unsure whether to step in or turn back. Just yesterday, I was told I'd be marrying Liu Ruyan. Everyone in our circle knows her reputation. Liu Ruyan has severe trauma, bad enough that a single, joking comment once pushed her to nearly break a rich heiress's leg, sending her to the hospital. She still hasn't fully recovered. And me, I'm the infamous coward, quiet, dull, and barely able to string a sentence together. The complete opposite of Liu Ruyan's fiery personality. As an illegitimate son, I had no say in this arranged marriage. The very next day, I was kicked out with my luggage in tow. With no other options, I figured I'd play the victim to gain some leverage. My target, Liu Ruyan. The maid stood to the side, trembling. I tried to make myself invisible, dragging my suitcase slowly at the butler's gesture. But just as I reached the staircase, Liu Ruyan's furious roar echoed again. "You old fossil. What gives you the right to control me? His guts are smaller than a rat's. So what if he's hotter than Wu Yanzu? I heard at a party the other day. He's so clumsy he can't even hold a glass of water without spilling it. Everywhere he goes, someone's shirt is soaked, and he's apologizing nonstop. It's infuriating. I can't stand idiot men like him." She went on. "You're so obsessed with meddling in my marriage, why don't you become a matchmaker? You'd make a fortune without even needing red envelopes. At 50, it's the perfect age for you to remarry. Have another daughter so you can nag her instead of driving me insane. Marry him. Only if I'm dead." The last vase in the room was hurled, grazing her father's forehead before landing at my feet. I was so scared. My legs shook, making a faint noise. Liu Ruyan, still fuming, whipped her head around in annoyance. But the moment she saw me, that unpredictable spoiled heiress froze. Her ears turned pink, the flush spreading to her neck. Didn't she just say she hated me? Why does this feel different? She stared at me for what felt like forever, until her father called her name several times. Snapping out of it, she blushed harder and stammered, "Dear Daddy, maybe the marriage isn't that bad. Let's set the date for next month. Or next week." No, tomorrow, I was assigned the room next to Liu Ruyan's. It was supposed to be a guest room on the second floor, but apparently no one had used it in ages. Liu Ruyan's temper was every bit as explosive as the rumors said. My original plan was simple: make her hate me. That way, I could keep up my timid, pitiful act and sabotage this marriage without breaking a sweat. But now, things were veering off course, and I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. Liu Ruyan didn't give me a chance to say no. She grabbed my suitcase with a purpose, and when I tried to take it back, she snapped at me. "I sorry. I froze, standing there like an idiot, glancing at Master Liu. He looked just as confused, but patted my shoulder anyway, telling me to settle in without worry. Liu Ruyan's private domain is sacred. No one steps foot in it without her permission. That meant the entire fourth floor was just for the two of us. My suitcase hit the floor, and she reached to open it, ready to unpack for me. I lunged to stop her, quick as a flash. No way could she see what's inside my carefully crafted timid persona would crumble if she did. I grabbed her wrist. It was cool to the touch, but the next second, Liu Ruyan yanked her hand away, muttering a low, "Damn it." This fiery heiress pure-hearted really. She kept her back to me, so I mumbled a soft, "Sorry." Predictably, she whipped around her words, stumbling over each other. "Why are you apologizing? I should be the one saying sorry. Sorry, sorry. Was I too loud just now?" Then hesitantly, she asked, "What's your name again, Guhan?" I replied. This silly girl didn't even know her own fiancé's name. I met her nervous gaze, and she held it for barely a second before her face turned red again. Before leaving, Liu Ruyan scribbled her number on a sticky note, telling me to call her the moment I needed anything. Her eyes sparkled with expectation, so I nodded along. The door closed, and my meek act vanished. I tossed the note in the trash, opened my suitcase, and pulled out my snake stud earring punk jacket and tablet. Flipping to my bookmarked site, I smirked. Captain Guhan is ready for takeoff. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan had just gotten back to her room when her phone rang. It wasn't me. It was her best friend, Bai Ningbing. The second the call connected, Bai Ningbing launched into a tirade. "Ruyan, I found out Guhan's not what he seems. He's got some serious game. He's no pushover. Someone saw him at a bar a couple of days ago." Liu Ruyan cut her off, irritation flaring. "Who gave you permission to badmouth Guhan? A pushover." "Please. He's an adorable little puppy." Her cheeks flushed as she spoke. "Forget it. You single people wouldn't get it. Just wait for my wedding invite." She hung up, then opened her hand. In her palm was a small sticker she'd secretly swiped while moving my luggage. The design was blurry, but it carried my scent, a distinct mix of mint and vanilla. In her 20-something years, Liu Ruyan had never felt her heart race like this for a man. The room next door was silent, so she pressed her ear to the wall, patience wearing thin. The air had a strange smell, and she caught the occasional cheer from my side. In the quiet of the night, lost in the afterglow of her thoughts, she mused to herself, "So this is love at first sight." Over the next few days, Liu Ruyan canceled all her plans, sticking to the house, or more accurately, sticking to me. Wherever I went, she followed like a shadow. Her only solo activity was making phone calls frantically, pushing the wedding plans forward. I started to wonder if she'd been possessed, but she calmly explained she needed to bond with her fiancé. Having her tailing me was annoying, but I kept up my troubled act on the surface, hoping she'd get the hint and back off. I was hoping Liu Ruyan would get fed up with me, kick me to the curb, and maybe even throw in a hefty sum for emotional damages. To my shock, not only did she not get annoyed, she dragged me along to a bar, claiming it was to help her best friend loosen up. I stood frozen outside the private room, too nervous to step inside. To play up my timid persona, I wore the plainest outfit, white shirt, black pants sticking out like a sore thumb in the buzzing bar. I was scared, and for good reason. I knew these idle rich kids all too well. Colorful hair, endless teasing, and ruthless gossip. But when the door swung open, I was stunned. Over 10 girls sat elegantly on the sofas, sipping identical glasses of orange juice. The air smelled of fresh gardenias, and everyone wore polite smiles. This didn't feel like a bar party, it was more like a grade school team building event. Liu Ruyan, oddly enough, seemed even more nervous than me. The gathering was painfully dull, with conversations barely above a whisper. To liven things up, someone suggested truth or dare. My luck was rotten. The bottle pointed at me first. Fearing an embarrassing dare, I picked truth. What do you think of Ruyan? All eyes locked onto me. I hesitated, gave a small nod, then quickly shook my head. In my mind, I thought, even if Liu Ruyan's clueless, she'll see I'm rejecting her. She'll lose it and call off the engagement, right? Liu. Ruyan sat beside me, her face blank. But inside, she was hyping herself up. A nod means he's got a good impression overall. The head shake just means there's room to improve. Keep it up. The second round landed on Liu Ruyan for a dare kiss the guy next to her. That guy me. I glanced at her profile. Her neck curved gracefully. Her pale collarbone practically glowing. Liu Ruyan was undeniably gorgeous. I had nothing to lose. But instead of what I expected, she only pecked my cheek, and her ears stayed red for the rest of the day. How is this so different from what I imagined? The third round was me again, another truth. This time, Bai Ningbing, prompted by Liu Ruyan's sharp glance, asked, "What makes our Ruyan special?" This flirty game had been turned into a tame Q&A session by Liu Ruyan and her crew. I was so bored, I yawned. To speed things up, I blurted, "Her tongue piercing." Liu Ruyan has a tongue piercing, a silver snake stud I'd noticed up close yesterday. It stood out on her tongue, bold and striking. While some people might dislike it, I found it sexy. I thought it was just a throwaway comment in a dull game. That night back at the Liu residence, I said my usual goodnight to Liu Ruyan and reached for my bedroom door. But she grabbed my sleeve. Under my confused and slightly scared gaze, she blushed and stammered, "Kissing with a tongue piercing. Feels amazing. Want to try it with me?" Before I could respond, Liu Ruyan practically exploded with embarrassment, as if steam were rising from her head. I didn't answer. Instead, I leaned in and touched her forehead. Frowning, I said, "You're burning up." Feverish, Liu Ruyan stood there dazed, letting me take her hand and lead her to her room. I gently pressed her shoulders, and she sank onto the bed, staring at me with glassy, cheerful eyes. As I looked at her, I recalled what people said about Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan's moods are as unpredictable as the weather, but her stunning looks and top-tier charm are impossible to ignore. If someone snapped a photo of her in a vulnerable, embarrassing moment, that untouchable heiress would probably pay a fortune to bury it. A wicked thought bubbled up in my mind, but I didn't grab my phone. Instead, I decided to get a little revenge first. I pinched Liu Ruyan's cheeks, letting myself go wild, leaving faint red marks on her face. After venting, I stood to fetch a wet towel. But as I moved, her fingers hooked onto mine. It was Liu Ruyan. Her mind half melted by fever, her face flushed. Whether from shyness or the heat, I couldn't tell. Yet in a daze, she murmured, "Want to try me while I'm burning up?" The next second, I leaned down to steady her, that tongue piercing. It was as thrilling as she'd claimed. I grazed it lightly with my teeth, and her soft whimpers filled the air. She squirmed, unable to break free, her lips parting slightly, eyes teary, as her grip on my waist tightened. If I had my way, this wouldn't stop at just kissing. We were at it until the wee hours, but Liu Ruyan's fever finally broke. In truth, I'd just pried open her mouth, popped in a couple of fever pills, and slapped a wet towel on her forehead. When the maid knocked, I was slumped by the bed, half asleep. "Mr. Gu, have you been caring for the young master all night?" she asked, her voice hushed. Suppressing my groggy irritation, I replied without hesitation, "It's what I should do. It's my usual tactic, minimum effort for maximum gain. I'm not Liu Ruyan's devoted lapdog changing towels every 5 minutes or checking her temperature every 10. As long as she didn't die, I was fine." The process was a bit rough, though. As expected, my good guy act earned me everyone's praise, including Liu Ruyan's. But beyond the compliments, she was mostly just shy. She knew why she'd spiked a fever, too many cold showers too often. Why the cold showers? Her face turned beet red, and she refused to say. Once she woke up, Liu Ruyan was glued to the mirror, frantically checking for marks beyond her face. Sadly, no traces on her collarbone or abs. She looked at me, stammering. "Last night. Did I?" "Nope," I lied. "Those marks on your face?" "You bumped into something when I took you back to your room." I watched the usually bubbly Liu Ruyan deflate like a punctured balloon. She plopped onto the bed, dejected, tapping away on her phone. I caught a glimpse of her search. What to do if my fiancé has no desire for me with the wedding date closing in? Liu Ruyan grew more anxious, torn between wanting to get closer and fearing she'd scare her little puppy. Little did she know this puppy was actually a wolf, and the suitcase she'd carried held secrets that'd shock her for days. A week before the wedding, my father showed up at the Liu residence with my stepbrother, Gu Nianen, in tow. Gu Nianen was as dashing as ever. I went downstairs playing the dutiful son with a hi dad, only to hear a snide relative from the side. In our circle, everyone saw me as a harmless loser. Everyone except Gu Nianen. He knew better, because I'd messed with him before. He stopped me as I tried to slip away, his gaze raking over me. After a long pause, he smirked arrogantly. "If Miss Liu knew how good you are at pretending, would she tear you to pieces?" Gu Nianen sneered. I turned around, flashing a gentle smile, my voice soft. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." His phone was recording child's play compared to the tricks I pulled 10 years ago. Gu Nianen knows I always play the victim in front of others. As the illegitimate son, I'm a constant reminder of the Gu family's shameful past, and no one hates that more than him. His loathing hit its peak seeing me at the Liu residence. Stealing my dad wasn't enough, huh? Now you want to climb the ranks? Be smart and call off this engagement yourself, or I'll go straight to Miss Liu and rip off your mask. The truth. The Gu group's funding chain snapped, and unwilling to sacrifice himself, Gu Nianen schemed to shove me in front of Master Liu. I bowed my head, hiding the glint in my eyes, and muttered a quick, "Got it," before walking away. Marrying Liu Ruyan was never my goal, ruining her was. With the wedding looming and no clear way out, this free shot at escape was too good to pass up. Liu Ruyan, sitting nearby, was practically growing calluses on her ears from listening. But since the old man across from her was my dad, her future father-in-law, she swallowed her temper and endured his rambling flattery. That is until he slipped, saying Gu Han's not as obedient as Gu Nianan. That was the last straw. Liu Ruyan snapped, grabbing an ashtray from the coffee table and hurling it. No luck. This time, it smashed right into the old man's forehead, blood gushing everywhere. The air reeked of iron. Her face darkened as she spat, so damn noisy. The absurd scene ended with my father's frantic apologies. Master Liu glanced at Liu Ruyan and remarked coolly, "Too hot-headed, won't live long. Still, it's your fault for spoiling her." Liu Ruyan, fuming, stormed upstairs without a word. Passing the staircase, she grabbed a maid and demanded, "Where's Gu Han?" The maid bowed respectfully. Mr. Gu said he had no appetite tonight and went straight to his room without dinner. Liu Ruyan's eyes flared. "Are you useless? He's not eating, and you let him go to bed hungry. Don't you know? To keep him satisfied?" She pivoted, heading to the kitchen instead. Liu Ruyan cooked a bowl of porridge herself, brimming with excitement as she knocked on my door. No answer. The unlocked door creaked open under her touch, revealing an empty, spotless room. Liu Ruyan stood there dumbfounded. Meanwhile, I'd already moved to a rental I'd booked ages ago. I started writing a note. "I'm sorry," but scratched it out. Liu Ruyan had been good to me these past weeks, and I didn't want to squeeze any more value out of her. I was sick of pretending at the Liu residence for over half a month. The thought of acting for a lifetime made my skin crawl. I didn't believe Liu Ruyan truly cared for me. I was probably just a toy to her, one she'd toss aside once the novelty wore off. I packed, light threw on my jacket, and hailed a cab to a bar. But today, my luck was absolute garbage. Maybe I stepped into the bar with my left foot first, because the second I walked in, I ran straight into Liu Ruyan's best friend, Bai Ningbing. My heart skipped, but I kept my cool, brushing past her, with a blank face, silently praying she wouldn't recognize me. No such luck. The next moment, Bai Ningbing yanked out her phone, dialed, and shouted, "Ruyan! I found your little puppy." Finding me was one thing. Catching me was another. I dove into the crowd, shaking off Bai Ningbing, and slipped out the bar's back door. The alley behind was a mess, crawling with drunks and thugs. I headed toward the main road, but a hand yanked my shoulder. A yellow-haired punk grinned slyly. "Out of cash, brother. Can you spare some change?" Irritated, I slapped his hand away and tossed a 100 yuan note on the ground. Big mistake. Instead of backing off, they got greedier. "A rich kid like you. And that's all. Not enough." They closed in around me. When Liu Ruyan showed up, the drunk's screams echoed through the dark alley, chillingly brutal. She stepped forward, grabbing my fist mid-swing. The guy at my feet was barely conscious, and the others in the corner were shaking like leaves. Liu Ruyan's eyes were red at the edges. For a moment, I was scared. Scared she'd be mad at me. Scared I'd gone too far and might end up in jail. But she said nothing, just softly asked, "Are you okay?" I took Liu Ruyan back to my cramped rental. This time, she was fully lucid. My face was still scraped up, and she reached for the first aid kit to patch me up. I insisted on showering first. She didn't argue, just handed me a fresh towel and then ignored me. I didn't know what to do next. Everything was a mess. My plan was simple: use Liu Ruyan to break off the engagement, play the victim for profit, and tank my father's company. But I never expected her to chase after me. I'm not a good person, selfish, scheming, and hot-tempered. Liu Ruyan's been good to me, and I've exploited her feelings. The sting of alcohol snapped me out of my thoughts. Liu Ruyan paused, cotton swab in hand, and looked up at me. Her eyes were full of hurt. I looked for you for so long. I thought I did something wrong, that's why you left. Whatever you don't like about me, I'll change. I turned away uneasy as bad memories clawed at me. Growing up, my stepmother and her daughter bullied me, and my father always turned a blind eye. Over time, I figured out why. This visit. It was just Gu Nianan hearing from some big shot that I was doing well, trying to swap me out as the marriage pawn. I stayed silent for a long time before finally speaking my truth. I don't want to get married right now. The air went still. I couldn't meet Liu Ruyan's eyes. This marriage wasn't my choice, and for me, it was all moving too fast. Okay, we won't get married now, she said. I was stunned. She'd been pushing the wedding hard. I'd seen it with my own eyes. But I have one request. Her voice trembled, her usually proud hands shaking. Can you give me a chance to win you over first? I ended up back at the Liu residence with Liu Ruyan. At first, I didn't want to go, but she insisted on staying with me. My tiny rental had no secrets. Every decoration, including my prized possessions, was out in the open. Liu Ruyan casually picked up a cup I'd left on the nightstand, inspecting it closely. I rushed over in 2 strides and snatched it back. Don't touch other people's stuff. Sorry, I won't do it again, she said. I'd get mad if you did. Then hesitantly, she added, when I helped with your suitcase last time, something fell out. She carefully pulled out the item. It wasn't just any sticker. It was my sticker. My vision went dark for a second. Liu Ruyan couldn't argue with me and could only watch wide-eyed as I carefully tucked the sticker away and put it back in my suitcase. After these 2 incidents, when Liu Ruyan suggested returning to the Liu residence, I agreed without hesitation. Master Liu rushed back from the company just for this. Guhan, you're such a sensible boy, he said. If you don't mind, how about taking Ruyan as your godsister? Godsister? Is this old man sick in the head? Should he see a doctor? I bit back my frustration. In front of elders, it's better to keep up the act, so I politely declined. Master Liu was clearly disappointed, but seeing my serious expression didn't press further. He just told me to come to him if anyone threatened me. Liu Ruyan wasn't having it. She grabbed my hand, flaunted our clasped fingers in front of her father, and dragged me to her room. It was my first time doing something like this in front of an elder. I squirmed, trying to pull away, but her fingers locked mine in a vice grip. She led me to the 4th floor, shut the door, and hooked her arms around my neck, nuzzling me. Baby, give me a kiss, okay? After we're done, I'm all yours. It was broad daylight, but the bedroom curtains were drawn tight. Liu Ruyan straddled my lap, her shoulder straps slipping, revealing skin so pale it almost glowed with a faint pink flush. Gone was her usual fire. She buried her face in my chest, giggling excitedly. I steadied her waist with one hand, the other propping me up on the bed. The sealed room's air grew stuffy, almost suffocating. Teasingly, I smirked. Leave the tongue piercing in okay? She nodded, and only then did I pull back satisfied. As a reward, I leaned in and kissed her lips. But Liu Ruyan grabbed my hand from her waist, pressed my head closer, and well, let's just say I got a very close encounter. I slept until evening, and my first instinct upon waking was to look for Liu Ruyan. The balcony door was cracked open. She was on the phone. Don't you dare say a single bad word about Guhan. If I'm good enough, he'll love me even more. Split us up. Over my dead body. I don't want to be apart from him for a second. Bai Ningbing whined on the other end for ages until she suddenly caught something. Ruyan, why do you keep slipping up? Liu Ruyan went quiet for a moment, but quickly fired back. Guhan says cursing is bad. That goes for you and everyone I hang out with. If I catch anyone swearing, they'll be cleaning up their family's mess. She hung up and started tapping away on her phone. I was too far to see the screen, but I caught her bold, triumphant love manifesto. I swear to be the ultimate girlfriend. To live a happy life. I must work out daily for a killer figure to keep my man hooked. Win his heart by winning his stomach unique meals every day, dinner ready every night. My man is everything. He's the sky, the earth. I'll stay pure for him. No bars, no clubs. I froze mid-motion, cringing so hard I buried my face in the blankets. Soon, Liu Ruyan bounced back into the room all smiles. I scrambled to fake sleep, squeezing my eyes shut. She touched my cheek. Huh, why's your face so red? Oh no, I must have overheated my hubby. With that, she cranked the AC down and planted a kiss on my cheek. After planting a kiss on my cheek, Liu Ruyan left me flustered. The last time I saw Gu Nianan was at the hospital where I accompanied Liu Ruyan for a checkup. True to her word, she was trying hard to get better. On those restless late nights when her emotions got the better of her, she'd distract herself with exercise or other outlets. Uncle Liu mentioned that Liu Ruyan had been kidnapped as a child, leaving deep psychological scars. When I tried to ask about it, she clammed up. But seeing my worried expression, she teased, "Good thing I got this illness, or how else would I have found my husband Gu Nianan, ever the schemer cornered Liu Ruyan when I wasn't around?" Even from a distance, I could see his clenched fists and the hatred in his eyes. I didn't need to guess what he was saying. It was the same old childhood grudge. I'd called him a venomous spawn and tricked him into getting locked in the school's equipment room for a whole day. When my father and stepmother found out, I got a harsh slap and was forced to kneel and apologize. But he'd started it saying my mom was a reincarnated vixen who deserved to be drowned in a pig cage. After that, I changed, learning to play the obedient son. I stood nearby, not wanting to disappoint Liu Ruyan. Then I heard her snap. Out of everyone, only Guhan lied to me. If that's not favoritism, what is? You're begging me to save your company. If you hadn't threatened, Guhan, would he have gotten hurt? Lucky for you, my husband's got the courage of a warrior. Unless he's happy, the Gu family can kiss a city goodbye. Gu Nianan opened his mouth to retort, but Liu Ruyan waved her hand. Bodyguards swooped in, blocking his view and dragging him away. He should thank me. If this were the old Liu Ruyan, he wouldn't have walked out of that hospital on his own two legs. Liu Ruyan waited for me at our agreed spot, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw me. What did the doctor say? I smirked. The doctor said, Appropriate affection can lower the frequency of episodes and help recovery. Sounds less like advice for a person and more like instructions for petting a cat. I kept the snark to myself, but seeing her eager expression, I took her hand. "Do you believe in love at first sight?" she asked. The question caught me off guard. I didn't know whether to answer from the heart or keep up my usual flattery. But Liu Ruyan didn't seem to care about my response. "I never believed in it," before she said. "Not until the day I saw you." My heart nearly leapt out of my chest. "We'll be happy together forever. Will you marry me?" I'd thought about this answer long ago. So I replied lightly, "Of course."